The NFL regular season is wrapping up, but there's still time to get in on the action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. The app is so easy to use, and there are so many different ways to bet, like live same-game parlays. Find bets in the new Explore tab. Make a parlay in the Parlay Hub, the best way to find popular parlays, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/247 and make your first bet a layup. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
Must be 21 plus and present in Arizona, Colorado, Connecticut, Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, permitted parishes only, Massachusetts, Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, or Wyoming. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under an agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG in Colorado, Iowa, Michigan, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Illinois, Kentucky, Tennessee, and Virginia. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT-STEP to 53342 in Arizona, 1-888-789-7777, or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut, 1-800-9-WITH-IT in Indiana, 1-800-522-4700, or visit ksgamblinghelp.com in Kansas, 1-877-770-STOP in Louisiana. Visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Visit 1-800-GAMBLER.net in West Virginia, or call 1-800-522-4700 in Wyoming. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York, or visit oasas.ny.gov/gambling. Standard text messaging rates apply. Sports betting is void in Georgia, Hawaii, Utah, and other states where prohibited.
The following is a GoPowerCat.com and Spirit Street production. You've discovered your link to GoPowerCat.com's Tannahill and Spiller Powercat Podcast, presented by Fridge Wholesale Liquor, and it starts right now. Now let's go to the WTC Gig-Powered Studios. Here are your hosts, former K-State tight end Travis Tannahill and former Wildcat safety Monte Spiller.
Welcome to this week's Tannahill and Spiller Podcast. I'm your host, Travis Tannahill, host as well, Mr. Monte Spiller. How we doing, Monte?
We here, man. 8-4. You predicted it.
Shoot. In my defense, I predicted 8 wins, not 8-4. I always say just the wins, because then you can get bailed out by a bowl game.
That's true.
So if it's 7 wins, you just say, oh, well, I knew we were going to win the bowl game. And then if it's 8 wins and they lose the bowl game, or even 8 wins and they win the bowl game, then it's like, well, I just meant 8 regular season wins. So for all you win predictors out there, that's a veteran move. Just say how many wins you think, and then you get a little grace there.
Exactly.
On the bowl game. So starting off, first off, congrats to all the high school state champions football. Unfortunately, your Rock Creek Mustangs were not there.
We were not. But, you know, hey,
you're rebuilding,
and it's one of those things where you understand it, and a lot of teams that were in the state championship were in similar situations as we were this year, a couple of years ago. So, like I tell our kids, anything is possible. But it was some good football happening this past weekend around the state, and you know the weather they got, considering, you know, the games were played earlier in the day. That's good for state football in the state of Kansas, man.
Yep, absolutely. And kind of go down the list here. 6A Derby, 5A Mill Valley, 4A Bishop Miege, 3A Andale, 2A Nemaha Central, 1A Centralia, 8-man Canton Galva, 8-man 2 Osborne. Yeah. So we were touching on that Canton Galva game. I think they were down like 36-0. Canton Galva was there 1 score away from getting run ruled, basically.
Yeah.
And then they came back like 66 unanswered.
That's crazy.
Like, I don't know. You've never seen that in a football game ever. I don't care at what level. I don't care if it's third grade peewee. And that's the highest level of small town Kansas football, but that's the highest level in that division. So I'm excited. I'm going to go back and find that film and actually watch that game and just kind of see, like, do they just have like 18 turnovers in the first half? Like, how do you play that poorly and then that well?
Yeah, I don't know who the head coach is for Canton Galva, but talk about making halftime adjustments.
No kidding.
That's an understatement. And also, real quick before we move forward, shout out to Derby and former K-State player, their head coach, Brandon Clark. So he's doing a phenomenal job down in Derby, and their program is rolling. So shout out to Derby as well and Coach Clark and his staff.
Yeah, and we follow. It's hard to follow all of your sport teams that you. I mean, you follow the Chiefs, you follow K-State, you follow the Big 12. I mean, we have to, not have to. We get to talk about it on air and get asked to do some stuff in the media. So we kind of have to stay up on it. And it's kind of hard to stay up on all the high school stuff. It's hard to stay up, on Junction City, Manhattan, and Wamego sometimes, and Rock Creek. So shout out, Kansas pregame. They do a great job on Twitter.
They do.
Providing some great high school content. Sports in Kansas does a great job. I know some of the Wichita stations and Topeka stations do a really nice job, and then K-Man here as well. They do a great job of covering the regional guys. So those high school guys, they work just as hard as anyone. Congrats to all of them. State championships coming home. I never got one. I got really close. We got our butt waxed by Hutchinson 1 year. They were really good back then.
Back in the day when Dryling was the head coach.
Yep, Dryling. They gave us I remember our coach having to give us the. We were pretty sheltered youth where I grew up, and he had to give us the talk of like, all right, now. You're going to hear that coach on the other sideline is going to say some bad words. And I remember, like, second play of the game, just F this, F that. I'm like, what? We're like 16 years old. What the heck is happening?
What?
Yeah, so that was an eye-opening that, oh, my goodness, this is those boys from Hutchinson they love their high school football.
Definitely.
All right.
27-17. Yeah, 27-17. Man, you were at the game. I was at the game. Youngblood opens it up.
Shoot, I wasn't even in my seat yet.
Thank goodness I was, and I got a chance to witness it. But, man, that kid, he is special. First of all, and we'll get to it a little bit later, I'm giving applause, kudos, shout-out to the fans that came to the game because if you were watching the game, you could tell it was cold. But the wind on TV didn't give justice to how cold it was on the field and in the stadium. But there was a significant crowd there, and they got loud. So shout out to those who came to the game and started the game, but some of them kind of trickled out as the game moved forward. But we'll touch on that later. But, hey, it was a big win. The Cats jumped out early. It's one of those things I know Coach Kleiman and the staff will get fixed. We started out fast. We started out fast against West Virginia on the first play of the game, going deep, and then we started out fast here, get up 14-0, and all of a sudden we kind of lose the momentum and allow a team to fight back. But we got the win. Yeah, no,
that this kickoff return unit. I mean, that was one of the big question marks for this Kansas State team. And I was on the side of, especially this first year, these special teams are probably going to be if they're neutral.
Yeah.
If we're not giving up punt returns for the touchdowns going the other way, if our kickoff unit isn't giving up kickoff returns and we're doing a nice job of flipping the field, that's probably a win. They got enough to worry about installing a new offense and installing a new defense. But shoot, it just kept on rolling.
Right.
And this kickoff return unit's been exceptional. I think that's 3 for Youngblood this year. And then punt return's been pretty darn good.
Yeah.
We kicked the ball well into a freaking blizzard, into a swirly wind day. Mm-hmm. So it's Blake Lynch. There we go. Couldn't think of the kicker's name. Yeah. Now it's there.
Little Lynch.
Little Lynch doing a nice job. Yeah, he got all of that too.
Big leg,
that was coming right at us, and. When that ball's flipping end over end, and that's as aerodynamic as it can get, it cuts through that wind. But if you don't hit that just right and you got a little side axis to that ball, that's when that wind can really carry it. So, man, he hit that ball probably about as well as he's hit it all year on that one kick. And he said that in the post-game show that was probably the best kick of the year. But, man, just an overall great team win.
It was.
Defense played well. Offense played well. Man. It was a fun game to watch.
It is, and it's one of those things where I know watching the game is funny. After we scored the initial touchdown on the kickoff return, and then we were moving to the north of the stadium, big drive, and you see the running back in number 28. I'm not going to lie. I had no idea who the kid was. and I said to my son, I said, who is 28? And sure enough, they hand the ball off to him, and he pretty much walks into the end zone untouched. So me and like everybody else around me go to my phone to find out, go to the roster, who is 28. And he's a freshman, last name Wright. Help me out with the first name. Jacardia. There you go. But that kid, and he had a long run later in the game, but that's just another special young player that Coach Kleiman and the staff have at their disposal moving forward. And, man, he looked good. God, that dude, man.
Yeah, he looked real good, and hats off to Coach Kleiman. I mean, they got here with 0 running backs on scholarship, and they found a way. I mean, they got 5 guys who have really contributed on a regular basis, and the wisdom from a coach who's been around and done it long enough. He didn't go out and get a guy. Mm-hmm. He goes, oh, shoot, we're in the Big 12. Like, these guys are going to get beat up. I need, like, at least 3, if not 4 or 5.
Yeah.
And so, I feel like if I were the head coach, I'd be like, all right, let me just go find a guy, and then we'll fill in everyone else. But he's like, shoot, I need 3, 4, 5 guys who I can trust to carry the ball and run this offense that we want. And he did that, and he needed every single one of them because a lot of those running backs have played beat up. And I wanted to touch on that run game because that's still – I'll probably go back after the season and kind of just look at rush yards to victories. And, when K-State can run the ball, they usually win.
That is such a true statement. And the O-line did a good job Saturday night creating holes. It's one of those things where K-State kind of went back to what got them rolling early in the year. We pounded up the middle, and then we got to the edge. We implemented the jet sweep later in the year, which has been successful.
Yep.
No matter who runs the ball. We didn't have nose Saturday. We had Youngblood that put Brooks back there, a couple other guys, and that works too. But the O-line does such a good job of allowing guys to get to the edge. And even Scholar, when he runs the speed option or the little quick toss, it works significantly. In the run game, like you said, when we're running the ball well, we're tough to stop.
Yeah, and the passing game was not there on Saturday. I mean, 5 for 12, 57 yards for Skyler, one interception. I mean, that's not the stat line you want. I mean, off the top of my head, I remember probably 3 drops.
Yeah.
Timely drops. That's why I can remember them.
Yes.
Untimely drops. So, probably would have been 8 for 12 for 80, 90, maybe 100 yards. So, not a terrible day for Skyler, but that wind really made it difficult to pass the ball. We saw Iowa State with Purdy struggle as well. He's been able to throw the ball all year. So, and that's what you got to do in November football. And now we're rolling into December this week, so you got to be able to run the ball late in the season, and that's when your big games are played. That's when your conference championships are played. Mm-hmm. So you really have to. I know throwing the ball around's fun, and I love it just as much as anyone else. But in this town at Kansas State, I think it always has and always will come through the run game.
Yeah, and I agree. And I think Coach Kleiman made a statement similar to what you just said earlier when he first started and he got the job. He goes, you have to be able to run the ball in the Big 12. You're going to run into communities like a Manhattan, like a Ames, Iowa, where the weather is going to be not favorable and you can't pass the ball. And that's just part of it, And I think K-State understands that. And you look at some of the teams, you get some of the Texas teams, obviously they play home games where the weather's a little bit better. But when they have to travel on the road, they can struggle at times throwing the ball with the high winds, with the snow, with the rain, with the cold. And you can say what you want to say, but it makes a difference because you get young men who are great athletes, but they get hit once in that cold, and it changes the way they play.
Yeah, and I was a little surprised. It was probably, I looked over, probably mid-third quarter, but still anyone's ball game at that point. Kansas State sideline up on their feet, having fun. The momentum was with us, but it's not like it had been with us for the whole game. It had been with us for a few minutes. Not a whole lot of guys sitting on those sidelines. You look over Iowa State sidelines, and every single one of them was sitting in those heated benches.
Can you blame them?
Well, I mean,
no,
kind of.
I get it. No, I get it.
It's just like, Which is surprising coming from an Iowa State team. I mean, we always made fun of it. That was always a motivation point. When Texas would come into town on a cold game, Baylor would come into town, or you'd play a non-con game. And so that was always a motivation standpoint. But it's like, man, Iowa State, it's colder up there than it is here.
Yeah.
Felt like they should have been a little better acclimated.
You would think. I saw a lot, like you said, I saw a lot of other guys on those heated benches and by the fires that they had over close to the bench as well. But, hey, if it helps us get a win, I'll take it, however we can. But our team, like you said, they came together defensive-wise. There were several times, there was a stretch there where we couldn't do anything offensively and they couldn't do anything offensively. So I think our defense allowed us to keep our head straight and not to go into panic mode. And then we finally pulled ahead and got the momentum and kind of ran with it. So
yeah, defense played really well, especially Kansas State offense, 2 turnovers. 2 turnovers. Iowa State had none, I believe. So when an offense gets a turnover, obviously that's a short field for the opposing offense. That defense really has to bow up. When's the last time, your offense puts up under 300 total yards, 57 passing yards, 2 turnovers, and you still find a way to put up 27 points and win a ball game? And the only way you do that is if that defense is playing well, which they did.
That's true, and they did it against a quality ranked opponent who was coming off a big win prior and just competing and understanding that, we both had similar records, same records, and they know that they could be a big determining factor to which bowl game they go to. And that's a pride thing. Prior to last year, we had beat them, 10 times in a row, I believe?
I believe it was, going into this game, we were 9 of 10.
9 of 10, okay.
Yeah, so now we're 10 of 11.
10 of 11. So, and that's a pride thing. And if I was an Iowa State player, that's in my head thinking, hey, I don't like that streak, and I don't want another streak to continue or start again. So, but K-State came to win. It was senior day. The kids were pumped up. I kind of got a chance to watch the guys pregame warming up. They were high-fiving.
They were juiced, yeah. Pregame, they were ready to go.
I know. Hey, I was pumped up. You could have put me in the game for one play, maybe kickoff, as the security guy, maybe as the safety guy. But outside of that, I would have been done. But it was good to see those guys ready to roll. The fans were into it. The crowd was loud when it needed to be, and we played well. So it was a quality victory, sending out our seniors the right way with the win.
Yeah, Iowa State offense really struggled for most of the ball game. Purdy, 15 for 30, 185. I got to imagine that's one of his worst, if not the worst, performance of his season. Only 51 yards on the ground for Iowa State rushing. And so it was really defense dominated. And that's what sometimes it's hard, like OU game. I think our defense played well, but I think OU did not play well.
No.
I don't think we got OU's best performance. This Iowa State game, I feel like this defense created the bad performance.
Yeah.
I feel like OU might have come out a little flat. This Iowa State team, our defense elevated their play, which forced that Iowa State offense to play poorly and not play well. So it was an exciting game. Cold, like you said.
But the fun thing about it, it was cold. The wind was blowing, but at no point was I ready to lead the game because I knew we were going to win. But the fun thing about it, and I'm going to give a shout-out to there was a couple of Iowa State fans around us. They were great people. When we were up 14-0, they still were talking to us, high-fiving, this and that. And when they tied it up, we were high-fiving, and it was a fun time. But for those who didn't go to the game, you missed a great environment because Iowa State brought their whole band, and they were in the south end zone. And I joked, I said, any team could bring their band except for OU because that Boomer Sooner song drives me nuts. But Iowa State's band, they were loud. They were having a good time. They kind of interacted with our band at halftime, but it was what you expect from a Farmageddon football game. It was a fun environment, respectful. It was good to see. And one thing I will say, those helmets that Iowa State had. I was like, man, I was like, dude, that's different.
Yeah. I'm a pretty, most uniforms at least are neutral. Some are better than others, but I was never like, oh, those are awful. Those helmets were bad.
No, well, they were bad, but not as bad as KU's. Did you see KU's helmets that they wore?
Was that little silver thing on the bottom again?
I know. Well, it was like the Jayhawk. I don't know. It was a tribute to something. I couldn't tell you specifically what it was.
I missed that.
But they had the extra long beak on it, and people were kind of ragging on it, saying that looked like Toucan Sam from Fruit Loops.
Well, they played like Toucan Sam this week.
Yeah, exactly. But no, it was different. it makes it fun. You know, if their kids like it, good for them. But it was a fun environment overall, and I'm glad that the team that won. And moving forward, we got that momentum going into the bowl game.
Yeah, Iowa State fans are always good people. Actually, they're one of probably the fan bases you get to interact with the most, especially if you head up to Kansas City for the Big 12 tournament basketball. They always travel really well down from Ames, probably about 50% Iowa State, and then 30% KU, 20% K-State, and then fill in the rest. That might be a little generous. Maybe 30% Iowa State. Anyway, I don't want to give them too much credit. They're not that good at fans.
No.
But nice people. Nice people nonetheless.
Yeah.
Good, hardworking, blue-collar town. But how frustrating would it be to be an Iowa State fan? I mean, it's one thing when you're KU, and KU's obviously not as good a football team as K-State for the last 10 years.
No.
Iowa State, you could argue, is as good year in and year out as Kansas State. I mean, flip a coin, they play.
They do.
Any team could have beat any team for the last decade.
They are.
But yet they lost 10 out of 11 times.
It's crazy. And sometimes, like the old saying, we just have their number.
Yep.
And I'm glad we do.
Yeah. That's almost more frustrating. I mean, it's one thing to be, if you're Iowa State and you're going, you lose 10 out of 11 to OU, that's the way.
It's a lot of teams.
Yeah, that's a lot of teams.
Yeah.
But you're kind of turned into a little bit of a fun rivalry and a little bit of a big brother, little brother from our standpoint, just because it's like they're better than losing 10 out of 11.
Yeah.
But that's not how the scoreboards ended, and they've all been close games, and even this season they've all had close games.
Yeah.
So touching back on the weather, if you're going to be and I'm fortunate enough I can sit somewhere where I can sit inside or outside because we have some very, very gracious friends that let us sit up there. Don't think I can afford that. And we chose to sit outside pretty much the whole entire game.
Yeah.
Just because the atmosphere is way more fun and you're actually part of the game instead of just watching it on TV, basically.
Exactly.
If you're going to go to the game, the crowd who started the game was a pretty solid crowd.
It was.
Well, it wasn't full, but it was pretty darn close. Thanksgiving weekend, I get it. But if you're going to go, please stay.
Yeah.
I mean, and I saw some people making up excuses on Twitter and Facebook, and, well, my 89-year-old grandpa was there, and we got to get him back into the warm. Well, don't bring your 89-year-old grandpa to a game that's going to be 20 degrees.
Give
that ticket away to someone who can stay the whole entire game, because it makes a difference. My wife got Raynaud's disease, which means she has terrible circulation. Her hands get black and blue when it gets cold. Very, very painful. So she hates the cold. So she didn't come. I left her at home because I knew she was going to want to leave early in the game, and I wanted to stay the whole time. So if you're a fan, please, please, please stay if you're going to come. And if you can't commit to staying the whole entire time, give your ticket to someone who will, because that home field advantage does matter so much. Coach Kleiman will never say it. Gene Taylor will never say it. But I promise you, they want that stands full for the whole entire game. They appreciate you coming out. But if you're not going to stay, give your ticket up to someone who will. That
you hit it right on the head. And as a former player of both, we understand how important that is. And you can say what you want to say. It makes a difference. Somebody, is it Rob Riggle? The comedian, the actor?
I don't know.
Okay,
I don't follow Hollywood.
He's a KU grad, and he had posted.
Oh, yeah. I think that was him, yeah.
Yeah, he posted, he went to the KU game. And as much as I dislike KU, for those seniors, I felt bad for those guys because that stand, it was pathetic, man. I get it. It was cold, but you had an 11 o'clock game, so it was a little bit warmer. But, I know you're playing one of the top teams in the Big 12, but if you're a senior, you come out, your family's there, but you want a decent crowd. And you can say what you want to say. Yeah, you play for team and you play for each other, but it makes a difference. I couldn't imagine being a senior on any team, especially K-State, and coming out and seeing the stadium half empty. And like you said, if you're going to come, and unless it's a medical emergency, that's one thing. But, come on, deal with it. Dress appropriately. I think I probably had 4 hoodies on, 3 pair of socks, sweatpants, tights, pants over that, you name it. But I was comfortable where I didn't have to leave, and to walk back to the parking lot was comfortable as well. But I planned accordingly. I knew it was going to be cold. It's Kansas.
I know.
If you've been to Kansas at least once, the wind blows. You know that. Come on.
Yeah, that's the thing. People who aren't prepared, it's guys, it's not like some storms, they've been calling for that weather since Wednesday.
Yeah.
I mean, the weatherman nailed it right on the head. It's going to be 30 degrees with 30-mile-an-hour gust, that means it's going to feel like 15 stinking degrees. Like, or this isn't Tampa, Florida right now. Like, we're in middle of Kansas. It's cold.
Yes, we are.
Go to Orscheln's, buy some Carhartt, get some coveralls.
Exactly.
And get your butt in the stands and cheer loud.
But to the ones who did come and did stay, thank you. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
Hey, and like Coach mentioned in the post-game interview, the crowd got loud. When defense is on the field, I'm not sure how it's sounding on TV. I haven't had a chance to look at it yet. But he said it was loud, and I can see I was there, and it was loud. And I could imagine if the stadium was completely full and everybody stood. And one thing I noticed I hadn't seen all year, some of the people on the west side who are some of the older fans, some of the older donors who've been around for years, they were even standing up on third down. And a lot of times the student section and other people, but even on the west side of the stadium, they were standing up on third down, getting loud, which gave me chills. So that's awesome. Hey, good job for those who did come, and you guys were treated to a great game and a great victory. Sent the seniors off right, and get ready for a bowl game against, I tried to figure out who we're going to play, where we're going to go. Texas, Florida. Man, Arizona, who knows? There's so much football to be played yet and so many scenarios that can play out, but we'll see.
Yeah. Bowl games to me is kind of like recruiting. I don't follow it until it's done.
Yeah, exactly.
Until signing day, then I care about recruits.
Exactly.
Until they assign the game to us, I don't care about bowl games.
Yeah.
Just because K-State will recruit 100 kids, and we'll get 12 of them. Mm-hmm. So it's like, why am I going to go learn about all 100 of them when 88 of them are going to end up somewhere else?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Bowl games are funny. But according to Mr. Kellis Robinette of the Wichita Eagle, which we love Kellis, so here's what's on the slate: Alamo Camping World, Texas Liberty. And that's assuming Baylor and OU, one makes the playoff, one makes the New York Six Bowl.
Yeah.
So those are all solid bowls. I'd probably be happy with those. I never played Alamo Camping. Texas was right before I got K-State, so I never played in any of those.
Yeah, my bowl games as a redshirt freshman, I went to the Copper Bowl. That was our first bowl game for K-State under Snyder's era, and we played Wyoming. But the Copper, Cotton, Aloha, I feel like I'm missing. I went to 5, played in 4. So Copper, Aloha, Cotton, Holiday Bowl, and the Fiesta Bowl.
Yeah. And if I'm thinking correctly, I believe all those are Arizona, Texas, or Florida.
You're correct.
Which the most important part about a bowl game is that it's warm.
Warm.
It's a warm, and it's an opponent that you can actually compete with, unlike Oregon when we had to play them.
Yeah. And the fans can travel to a close location, or we have a great fan base already there.
Yeah, or a direct flight out of Kansas City, which helps. So, which let's touch on bowl games just for the listeners here. Kind of give them the bowl game experience. Obviously, the next 15 practices that they get, and then traveling, and just kind of give them a little overview from your playing days. And obviously things have gotten bigger and better since then, just like everything else has in college football. But give them the little overview of what that means for this team, how important it is, especially with the extra practices for this young team, and just kind of the overview of bowl prep. Yeah,
excuse me. Yeah, man, it's one of those things where after the excitement of finding out where you're going to go, who you're going to play, the practice sets in, and it's an opportunity to prepare for your opponent, and it's an opportunity to get some of the younger guys more reps on the offense, the defense, different schemes moving forward for next year. And it also is an opportunity for coaches to recruit as well, because they're out and about recruiting, and that doesn't hurt to say, hey, we're playing in this bowl game on this date against this opponent, watch us. But as a player, you hear during the holidays, because most bowl games happen in December or January, New Year's Day. But it's an opportunity to get better, and it's so much. It's fun. It can be taxing at times, but if you're having a great practice and you have a great game plan, which in most cases was the case for us, it can be fun. But just the opportunity to travel. The events that you're in, the host city makes a big difference. You get some host cities who go all in for the teams coming in. You have different competitions. You get to find out about the city. You get to go different places to eat. You get great gift packages depending on who the sponsors are. So it's so much that you don't see behind the scenes leading up to the game day. But for the players, that's why it's important. So a lot of time fans complain about a 6-win team going to a bowl game. But for a player, especially a senior, it's huge, because that is so much involved with that for the athlete. So you want the kids to get a chance to get to a bowl game. And then financially for the conference, the Big 12 overall, you're making money for the conference, not just for your school, but for the other teams as well. So it's a lot, man, but it's a positive. You know, there shouldn't be a negative for any bowl game unless you're a school who have as a fan base, if you don't make the New Year's Day 4 or the playoff game, that's different. But for everybody else, bowl games are awesome.
Yeah, they're a lot of fun, and the extra practice time to get. I mean, just a nice reward at the end of the season. That's how I always kind of viewed it, and it's just a nice little vacation. I mean, it is a vacation. I mean, it's a 5, 6, 7 day trip. You got a game there at the end, so you can't be eating too much fried food. But they feed you well. You get to have some fun, go do some sightseeing. It's just a little vacation with a bunch of your teammates, which are your best friends. Yeah. So one thing I'm curious about is, as good as Coach Snyder was over the last 25 years. Mm-hmm. He struggled in bowl games. He did. His bowl game record, I don't know what it is off the top of my head, but it was not it was not good.
I know for us, and out of the 5 bowl games I went to and played in, we were 3-2. We won 1, lost 1, won 1, lost 1. So, yeah, and it was just like every other year.
I was 0 for 3.
It was every other year, but I don't know. I can't explain why, but it's just one of those things. I don't know if we – and I hate the term over-prepared, but as well as I do, some of our practices were long.
Oh, yeah.
And
that was Camp 2.0.
Yeah, and guys now that play with us and before would tell you, man, could be overbearing at times. And I don't know if that played a part in it or not, but, it was something that we struggled with at times.
Yeah, I think there was probably 2 parts to maybe why that struggle. One, you mentioned just tired legs, and Coach kind of viewed that as Camp 2.0, especially for those young guys.
Yep.
He wanted to win that bowl game, but he viewed that as 15 practices to get better for the next season.
Yep.
To go try to win the conference championship.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that was number one. Number two, his team's always won 1 or 2 games they probably shouldn't have won. So they were sitting at 8, 9, 10 wins when they were probably a 6, 7, 8 win team. And so they were getting matched up against some teams that might have been a little better than them. So,
you were, man.
My sophomore year against Syracuse, we should have won that game. With the stupid salute with Adrian Hilburn. Love you, man. You got screwed on that one.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
No one blames you on that one.
Oh.
So that one, and then junior year against a really good Arkansas team. I think Ryan Mount was the quarterback down there at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously a very good Oregon team my senior year. So I think that's probably the biggest factor, I think, is just, Coach always found a way to win 2 games he probably shouldn't have won, and which is great, but then that matches you up against a really good postseason opponent.
But that ultimately as a player, that's what you want. You want to win the game, but you don't want to play a team that you're going to steamroll. And it's one of those things where you go into a game and K-State, we love being an underdog, and that's okay, and we thrive, And real quick before we go to break, I've had conversations about bowl games and such, and I was fortunate enough to play in the Aloha Bowl. And it was one of those situations where when we left and we flew out of Manhattan and connected, I want to say, in San Francisco, and ended up flying to Hawaii. But we were in Hawaii for 10 days.
Ooh.
And exactly. And, called me crazy, and most people would think I was crazy, but day 4, I was ready to come home.
Oh.
And
you're doing Hawaii wrong.
I know, but that's the thing about it. We had some free time, and I use that term loosely. We had some free time, but there was, and think about it, that's you're in Hawaii, and you're enjoying the sights and the weather, but you're practicing. And it's a Coach Snyder coach team, and he expects a lot out of the kids, and Coach does so much for us. But, it was one of those things where 10 days got to be long.
Yeah.
And it was crazy. People think, I'm like, man, 10 days in Hawaii? I'm like, yeah, maybe I was. And I was young. So it was one of those things where we had a blast, and unfortunately we lost the game to a good Boston College team. But, it was a great experience.
Yep. No, that's exciting. And so it'll be fun to see, though, the Coach Kleiman led postseason. Because it's new for him, too. I mean, he's a, FCS guy, used to running through I don't know how long their playoff is, 4 or 5, 6 weeks maybe.
Yeah.
So this is new to him as well. He's learning, he's figuring it out as he goes. And so it'll be curious to see if his postseason record, if he can find a way to be a little bit better than the guy he's trying to fill his shoes in. So,
yeah.
But Y'all good?
I'm good, man. You know, hey,
feeling good about the season?
I'm happy about the season.
Man, me too.
8-4 is further than what most expected, including me. I was happy to make it to 6 wins, bowl game, and keep guys healthy and keep people happy as far as the fan base. And I think Coach Kleiman and his staff have exceeded that times 10, and I look forward to the bowl game.
Yeah, should be fun. Texas, if it's drivable in Texas, I might find my way down there.
Yeah, me too.
Florida, I'm probably not going to get on a plane flight. No offense.
Not going to happen.
Not no offense. December's expensive. It's an expensive time of the year and time of life. And, when I'm 50 years old and sitting on a big old 401k or something, maybe y'all feel comfortable to drop $2,000 to go watch the Cats play. But
if I can get a good flight down there, and if any of my former teammates are down there that want to put me up, hey, let me know. I might make that trip.
Shoot,
but
the Monte Spiller GoFundMe bowl game fund.
There you go.
So awesome. Well, who we bringing on this week?
All right, man. We're speaking of Florida. He's from Florida. A good buddy of mine, Mario Smith. We call him Hitman. Probably one of the most ferocious safeties in K-State history. I was fortunate enough to play with Mario. He was a couple years older than me when I came in, but he kind of took me under my wing and showed me the ropes. But I'm excited to bring him on. He's doing a lot of great things down in the state of Florida, so we're going to bring him back here shortly.
Awesome. Sounds good. We'll take a break real quick. When we get back, we'll have Mario on the line and get to visit with him.
The Tannahill and Spiller Powercat Podcast is sponsored by Fridge Wholesale Liquor. The Fridge is your source for all of your tailgate and party needs. The Powercat Podcast will be right back.
Selling a little or a lot? Shopify helps you do your thing, however you cha-ching. Shopify is the global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business. From the launch your online shop stage, to the first real-life store stage, all the way to the did we just hit 1 million orders stage. Shopify's here to help you grow. Whether you're selling scented soap or offering outdoor outfits, Shopify helps you sell everywhere. From their all-in-one e-commerce platform to their in-person POS system, wherever and whatever you're selling, Shopify's got you covered. Shopify helps you turn browsers into buyers with the internet's best converting checkout. 15% better on average compared to other leading commerce platforms. And sell more with less effort thanks to Shopify Magic, your AI-powered all-star. Shopify powers 10% of all e-commerce in the U.S. And Shopify is the global force behind Allbirds, Rothy's, and Brooklinen, and millions of other entrepreneurs of every size across 175 countries. Plus, Shopify's award-winning 24/7 help is there to support your success every step of the way. Because businesses that grow with Shopify. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/Odyssey Podcast, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Odyssey Podcast now to grow your business, no matter what stage you're in. Shopify.com/Odyssey Podcast.
If you're in the market for investment-worthy bags, watches, and fine jewelry, Rebag is the answer. Rebag is a luxury resale marketplace where each piece is carefully vetted and verified by experts to ensure quality and authenticity. If you're in the market, use Rebag to buy and sell finds from the world's top brands, including Hermes, Chanel, and Cartier. Head to Rebag.com to get 10% off your first purchase with code REBAG10. Shop today at Rebag.com. That's REBAG.com and use promo code REBAG10 for 10% off your first purchase.
And now we return to the Tannahill and Spiller Powercat Podcast, sponsored by Fridge Wholesale Liquor.
Welcome back. We got Mario Smith on the line with us. Monty, thanks for lining that up. Mario, how you doing?
I'm doing well, and yourself?
Oh, we're doing all right. First off, kind of give us the overview just for the refresh the fans' memory. What years you play? What highlights of your career, just quick little highlights of your resume, and then where you're at now, what you're doing with life, and how's life going for you?
So the years that I played was from 92 to 97, a 5-year span, and had a pretty good run at it. And currently, I'm a school owner, a private school for all males, and it's a school that we're developing that's around athletics. And I say that to say going to college taught me a lot of that because we spent a lot of time in the film room, spent a lot of time doing all those other things. And just coming up with concepts that allow student athletes to build on some of those things from sports media to sports medicine to coaching from being an agent to sports management, all those different things, and just putting it in one atmosphere where a kid can already be prepared before they even get to college. So it's been a little journey. That's currently what we're doing, but I've had the luxury of working at my old high school for 13 years before we jumped into that venture. And I say we, my wife and I, before we jumped into the venture of starting our own school. I got a lot of experience from there, coached up some guys that have gone on to major colleges and even some guys that have gone on to the NFL. So we took the chance on going out on our own and just developing what we think would be the ideal school for the student athlete here in South Florida.
Right. So for Mario, for the listeners that may not be familiar, I am familiar with it. Tell them the name of your school and where you're located.
The name of the school is True Prep Academy, and we are located here in the Miami Gardens area of Miami, Florida, where I grew up at, which is probably about 10 minutes away. And we currently have a K through 12 school where student athletes could come to get their education first, and then our PE is them going to the gym and going outside and getting that type of activity. So we're located right here in Miami Gardens, Florida.
Right on, right on. You know, I was talking to Trav a little bit about playing with you and having the opportunity to come in as a young guy and how you took me under your wing, not just on the football field, but in the weight room and outside of the complex as well. And it's always good, you know, just like we had former players prior to you on the show, it's always good to touch base and reach out to you guys to let the listeners know, you know, that it's more than this football player as an athlete, and that right there kind of proves to you, you know, as far as being a man in your community and doing what you kind of wanted to do outside of football. It speaks volumes about how the program in K-State continues to put out quality individuals on a daily basis. Did you get a chance to watch the game this past weekend?
I didn't have a chance. I was actually on a cruise, cruising through the Caribbean. But I was checking on the scores. I definitely saw the scores.
That port of Miami makes it too easy.
Well, yeah, trust me. I guarantee most people that were at the game would probably trade spaces with you in a heartbeat. It was pretty bad weather, cold. The wind was blowing, and it wasn't favorable in my eyes. But I went to the game as well as Trav. But we got the win, and Coach Kleiman and the staff is doing a good job up here with the team as well. So we were happy about the win.
Yes, indeed. I think it's one of those typical Iowa State games that we usually played back in the day, where it's pretty cold, it's rainy, and the conditions, and they may have upgraded the heaters on the sideline, but I remember we had gas heaters, and everybody would be bundled around the heater. It's like, you know. But it's one of those typical games that you're telling me about, that when we play them late in the season, and it's unfavorable conditions, and you have to have ball control. So I can pretty much see exactly what the game was like during that time, because we've played in many of them. Even one in Des Moines, which was very memorable. I want to say in like 93 and 94 when they had a streaker.
Yeah. I remember that game. You're right.
Oh, geez. I was 4 years old, so I don't remember that one. But that's funny. We might need to look that up.
Oh, man. We were winning during that time, and then after that, the game went downhill after we saw this.
Man, maybe that's a new strategy.
I know.
We'll let Monte take one for the team, and if we see. So Mario, obviously with your school, you're developing athletes, you're developing the education side, and obviously I'm assuming, you know, from a character standpoint, you're trying to get these guys disciplined for some off the field stuff as well. Obviously, you played under Coach Snyder, who is known for and not negative, positive, just the way he is. I mean, he runs a tight ship.
Yes, indeed.
He demands discipline. He demands excellence, and he monitors that. And if you're slipping, he's going to find out within about a minute.
Exactly.
This Coach Kleiman program, from what it sounds like, is a little more of a player's coach. A little more, he allows those players to self-police themselves, and as long as you're not causing them too much issues, and The easiest way I like to say it is Coach Snyder has people sitting at your classroom making sure you're going to classroom. Coach Kleiman lets you go to class. If you want to go to class, great. If you don't want to go to class, great. You should be in class, but if you can get an A, then you're good. If you get an F, we're going to have problems. So from your standpoint from an academic and a character side, developing young people in your program, which style do you think works better with these young people, or just kind of what's your opinion on the player's coach versus the more rigid program style?
Well, so I think more so of seeing both styles, and now being kids that have the use of social media or the use of online classes, it's a different day and age where kids are able to do some of the work and not even go to class, or be able to pick up some of the notes online. So it's a different era. And I think that honestly, I think that the kids need to have that type of foundation early on before it actually you just let them go wild. And not just go wild, but be able to do those type of things where you don't have to monitor them. So there's a trust that's built up. And I think once that trust is built up, the kids are going to be able to do and run through a wall for you, any and everything for you.
Watching the current status of the team, and I'm pretty sure you've seen them on TV as well. I know you made it up to a game earlier this year. The kids are having fun. They make a few more mistakes, and as far as penalties that we would, and we were joking a couple weeks ago about how the young man, Youngblood, when he scored a touchdown and he did a little dancing against Tech, and he got the penalty afterwards. Coach Snyder probably would have sat him for the rest of the game, or you wouldn't have seen him. But Coach Kleiman talked to him a little bit, and a couple of plays later he was back in. And I think today's young individual athlete, you have to give them a little more flexibility because they are different. They're different than you and I. They're different than Trav and his class, and it's kind of needed. So tell me your thoughts on that.
Well, I think the whole game is different, even from the way you tackle people. I think that the way I played the game is a whole lot different, and the way we played the game is a whole lot different. I think I've been sitting a lot of times on the sideline or ejected a few times. So you have to change with the times,
Yeah.
And that just speaks volumes of the evolutionary change that happens over time. Things don't stay the same, and when you get a new regime in, things tend to go towards what that coach feels is necessary, and he's had success doing so at North Dakota State. So if he brings that philosophy here to K-State and he's winning, by far, let him do what he needs to do in order for K-State to be a successful team.
Yeah. It's funny you say that, man. I think about a couple of games, the first ever Big 12 game that we played up here in town against Texas Tech, and then the Cotton Bowl against BYU when you nearly decapitated that one guy, the receiver. It's been showed several times on highlights here in Manhattan at the stadium and on videos and hype videos. And, the game has changed. And I was talking to Trav prior to us getting started about, being able to play with you and some of the hits you made in practice. And you remember very well the Saturday morning scrimmages that we would have prior to the season started, or if we had a bye week, we would scrimmage on a Saturday morning and some of the hits. And a lot of people don't understand how much the game has changed. And I get why it has for safety purposes, which I understand that 100%, and I support that. But outside of the BYU hit, and I know you had a couple of pick sixes. I remember in Missouri, you had a pick six in the end zone that went 99 yards, I believe, correctly. What's some of your highlights? Tell the fans and the listeners some of your favorite highlights as a player here at K-State.
Oh man, some of my favorite highlights as a player weren't even my own. It was seeing more so of, because I couldn't see mine until I went back and watched the video. But it was more so watching a Kevin Lockett make a one-handed catch against Colorado.
Oh, yeah.
Seeing Andre Anderson in the Cotton Bowl catch the ball with one hand on the side of his head, the Hail Mary. Seeing the offensive guys make plays, it wasn't more so of mine. Mine was for them to watch, and it was just exciting to see our offense move the ball and make plays. So it was more so of me watching the other side, you know. But I guess I would say if it was a more favorable game that I've ever played in, it was probably the Holiday Bowl in '95, where I was the defensive MVP. Yep. And it was more so of, I forget the other safety's name. He won the Jim Thorpe Award over Chris, and I was like, how is this safety? You know, so it was almost like our defensive backs against theirs. Like, how did he win the defensive the Jim Thorpe Award over Chris? Oh, well, we got to go out and do something about this. So
took a personal.
Yes, indeed. Yep. Definitely.
I remember that. Yeah, and I think Brian Kavanaugh got the offensive MVP that game. As well, and you got the defensive MVP. So that was, that was against Colorado State. That was a heck of a game. You were right. Yep.
Yes, indeed.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, that attitude right there is what made you guys so special. And I mean, there's literally nothing better than watching your teammates go out there and make plays and prepare and work hard during the week, and then to go out there and watch your guys. And I'm sure it's only, you were a high school coach. Mine's a high school coach. It only gets exaggerated, when you're a coach and you're watching your guys go out there and perform and play well. So that's why you guys were so special. When's the last time you made it to Manhattan for a bowl game? If K-State makes a bowl game down in Florida, will you make the short trip over there to watch the Cats play?
If they make it to Florida, I definitely will make it to see them play. The last time I was in Manhattan, it was when they played Oklahoma State this year. The game before they played in the homecoming game against Oklahoma. And it was a very good game. I'm very pleased with what we have going on, and I think we're headed in the right direction.
And I've asked a couple other guys this question, too. Tell me your thoughts on the alternative uniforms, man. The white helmets with the Powercat and the white helmets with the script Cats on it as well. What's your thoughts on those?
My thought is, where were they when we were there?
That's what most everybody says.
I think that's consensus, man. I think everybody feels that way.
Just to have something different, But, I mean, we were in the traditional what Coach Snyder wanted, and that was what he wanted during that time. And I think more so with Klein being a player's coach, they've opened it up to say, hey, we can do this, And I think that'll even change over time. So, and to get good recruits in there, you have to be able to compete not only with the facilities, but with the uniforms and everything else that goes along in this ever-changing college football match to get the student athletes in there that are going to be able to bring the championships to the school.
No, I agree with that. And so much has changed, and the culture changed with the music, the uniforms, the schemes on offense and defense, and just the fact that we are competing in the Big 12 where they recruit all over the country, and we need to continue to get kids from Florida like yourself, people from Texas, in-state, Kansas. Like I said, I think we won the state of Kansas this year as far as recruiting, but we need to continue to do that and moving forward. And I think Coach Kleiman and the staff have the right idea. Before I let you go, anything you want to say to the fans and the listeners out there about K-State football, what you think about the season and moving forward?
What I think about the season, I think we came out and did a pretty good job for him being a first-year coach. I look forward to it getting better and better each year. I would say to all of our fans, give them a chance because we did have a winning season this year, and there is some improvement, but we have to be open to change. And I think during this era, if we're open to change, we're going to see the different recruits. We're going to see the different uniforms. We're going to see a little different of everything else. And, we are the Snyder kids during that that era. But now we have a new regime that's in there. I think we need to support him to go further so that we are able to get the better recruits in to have what we're looking for as a team. And, those Big 12 championships and possibly even the national championship.
Hey, I'm with you.
I think we're all on the same page. Everyone's pretty happy. 8 wins. Hopefully didn't set the bar too high. Hopefully next year we can get back to that mark. Losing 5 guys at offensive line, that's my biggest worry.
Yeah. But you know what? That's part of it. That makes it fun. Makes it fun.
Exactly.
So.
Definitely. Those guys that are behind them now have to step up. That's I want to say that's just like when Jamie Mendez, Thomas Randolph, Kit Rollins, and all those guys left out. Coach Stoops had to replace that secondary. So when the challenge is up, those guys rise to the occasion if they have a great coach in that position that are going to push them and be on them. So I have faith in what these guys are doing. So let's continue to root them on and get behind them with all we know.
Yeah, I agree 100%, man. Hey, I really appreciate you taking time for us. Take care of yourself. Good luck with your school moving forward. I'm definitely keep following you. And if K-State does end up going to Florida, I kind of made a comment earlier in the podcast where any of my Florida brothers, if I need somewhere to stay, I might hit you up. So
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Mike Lawrence is in Tampa. I'm here in Miami. Eric Hickson is down there coaching at Miami University. So we're here. Darren Howard is in Tampa as well.
Yep.
So a lot of the guys are back home, and there's more than enough space for you guys to come and visit. So, and Daryl Harvard is moving here in another week or so. So
Big D, he a Dallas boy, so he moving to Florida, huh?
Yes, it is.
Okay, all right.
Awesome. Thanks for your time, Mario. Appreciate it, and hopefully next time you're in Manhattan, for sure, hit me and Monty up. We'll grab a beer pregame or postgame, and look forward to meeting you in person. And appreciate all you did for K-State.
Thank you. You guys have a great day.
All right, take care, brother.
Awesome. I've seen him flash across highlight reels, in the main, the ones that always get repeated. I know there's 1, 2, 3 of his shots in there, but after the show, I'm gonna go watch like his highlight reel.
If you haven't had a chance to watch Mario, we call him Rio. If you haven't had a chance to watch his highlights, and if you are a fan of defense and big hits, I highly recommend you go check it out because we call him the Hit Man, and he lived up to it. So,
well, that's the thing. I mean, now those hits don't. They don't have big hit highlight reels anymore because they're illegal.
Yeah.
I mean, you get ejected. Dude,
he wouldn't play half the season.
Dude, that sounds like he might have been ejected second quarter every game.
Probably so, but yeah. But no, man, he was one of my favorite teammates I had. Like I said, he looked after me as a young player and kind of gave me words of wisdom and taught me the way to play the safety position at the collegiate level, and I was fortunate to call him teammate. So it is what it is, but moving forward, so bowl game, not sure where we'll go, but before we finish up here, I want to give a shout-out to you, Trav. It's been a blast doing this podcast with you for this season, kind of inaugural season, I guess you want to call it.
It's been fun.
It's been fun, man. To all the listeners that have been following us every week, we appreciate you, and hopefully this continues.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and I'm sure they'll bring us in. We'll get to come in once or twice here during the offseason, I'd imagine, talk a little recruiting, just spring game. I'm sure there's always a handful, half dozen reasons between now and and we got the bowl game coming up, so I'm sure we'll get a little airtime here. Pre-bowl game, probably post-bowl game, so 2 more times here before the end of the year. But make sure you're sharing this with your friends. Make sure you're getting the word out. I know I love when people come up to me around town and say they appreciate what we're doing, having a good time, talking K-State football.
Yeah.
So with all that, y'all good?
I'm all good, man.
Wrap her up?
Hey, successful season, 8-4, about to be 9-4. Finish the season right, get some recruits in, and looking forward to the bowl game and the 2020 season as well. It feels good to be a Cat.
Absolutely. It just feels like it's headed in an upward trajectory, which is always a good place to be. So, as always, thanks for listening. 8-4. Beat our little brother Iowa State. Beat our little brother KU. Knocked off an excellent Oklahoma team. Yes. So a lot of a big non-con win. New staff. A lot of holes that had to be filled. Fought through injuries. Just an exceptional season all around. So for Monte Spiller, I'm Travis Tannahill. Appreciate you guys listening. Go Cats.
You've been listening to the Tannahill and Spiller Powercat Podcast, presented by Fridge Wholesale Liquor. Powercat Podcast. All rights reserved. GoPowercat.com and Spirit Street Publishing.
With Blue Link Plus, you can access your Hyundai Tucson Limited remotely. Doors unlocked, temperature set, lost car found.
There it is.
Get complimentary class-leading Blue Link Plus. Call 562-314-4603 for complete details.